Finally! We got the last spot! Oh my god! Can we marry him now? He just ticks all the boxes. All of the boxes are ticked. Oh, she guarded it. I apologize for nothing, you big evil bitch. Ah, wait! Ah! Ah! Hi everybody, I am Black Bellflower and welcome back to Ikemen Vampire. In our last episode, I had a conversation with the Comte de Saint Germain, talking about how everybody came to the manor. That was chapter 2, and so now we're on chapter 3. Let's get started. Chapter 3, Leonardo. Leonardo bursts in on our conversation. Will my problem help fix his problem? Me, courted by Leonardo? Moreover, do I want it to? What's Leonardo's problem? Let us find out. Leonardo, chapter 3. I had started to doubt their intentions, but I can see now their offer wasn't a trick or born from vampiric hunger for me. They would be doing more to convince me to stay if that were the case. But should I stay, knowing what I do? No, I think I said this last episode. No. Safer than what I was imagining was not exactly a ringing endorsement, and I had been threatened by one of them. Just then, the door was pushed open. With it, a sweet scent drifted into the room. I recognized that scent. There he was, just as I'd imagined him. The smile on his face was a surprise, though. Hi. Leonardo. Leonardo, knock before you throw open my door. We were in the middle of an important discussion. Saint Germain was like, we have manners at this establishment, sir. I know. Heard the whole thing from outside. Waited 10 seconds politely, but it didn't look like you were going to finish. Besides, you're the one who's kept me waiting since last night, remember? That's right, Leonardo actually fell asleep in front of the Comte's door. Never seen you here before. Though I'd wait patiently until... the reading, fundamental. Thought I'd wait patiently until you were done. Took so long, I fell asleep. So you're the one he was talking to. Molten gold eyes stole my attention again. Yes? Why should I listen to you? You're deciding whether or not... What? Wait here and think it over. Sir! I don't understand. Sure, decide for me. What? I'm hoping this is a sarcastic sure, decide for me, so I'm gonna go with that. Oh, sure. Decide for me, why don't you? Okay, it was sarcastic. Good. No. Insistent as ever, aren't you? I apologize on Leonardo's behalf for his atrocious behavior, Lauren. Apology not accepted. He is insistent, but he's also been waiting to have this conversation for some time. Not at all, it's fine. I'll wait here if you two want to go ahead. See, she agrees. Now, tell me, what is it? The important Sir! I can't pronounce words. To my surprise, Lecomte actually sounded exasperated. He dropped a stack of papers in front of Leonardo. Do you know what these are, Leonardo? That depends. Do you know? No, it doesn't depend, because you would only answer my question with a question if you knew in the first place. Got me. More letters urging me to marry, yes? What? Hold on. What? Did I just hear that? Urging you to marry? Okay, first of all, I would just like to point out that this man is like 5,000 years old. I'm grossly exaggerating. But who is still urging him to marry? How is he even relevant still? Okay. Not gonna ask questions. I'm just gonna keep reading. You listening in on our conversation, Karamiya? Feeling curious? No, not particularly. You're the one who told me to wait while you discussed it. I can't turn off my ears. But it is possible to politely concentrate on something else so as not to overhear. I didn't ask you, says the person who clearly overheard this conversation just now. Even vampires get nagged to hurry up and settle down. That's rough. You have no idea, Karamiya. He must be a pretty eligible bachelor to get offers even after death. Okay, this is what I'm saying. Who knows he's still alive? You do realize your refusal to entertain the notion of marriage is why I'm constantly invaded by this influx of proposals. You don't even have to marry any of them. Just pretend to court one for a time and the letters will stop. It's all simple. Oh god, fake relationship trope incoming. Okay, simple doesn't mean good, nor acceptable. Leonardo pulled out another cigarillo, as if to say he was done with the conversation. I pay for all your expenses, you know. And I pay for that every time you make me listen to you moan. They're both strangely persuasive, but that doesn't work on each other, apparently. They must be pretty close, though, to be able to gripe at each other like this. True. Just as they were beginning to enumerate what was clearly a long list of each other's personal flaws, Sebastian cut in. Sebastian was like, I got work to do, so let me just go ahead and squash this. Pardon, messieurs, but I have an idea. What idea? We write that Master Leonardo has found someone. Lauren. He can court her. First of all, I'm all for the fake dating trope, so part of me is like, yes. But secondly, I just met him like yesterday, so no. And Sebastian, mind your business. Wait just a minute. Here we go. I'm glad. Courted by Leonardo only as a way for him to avoid proposals, right? Unfortunately, the conversation seemed to be continuing without me. Nah, I'm standing right in the center of all these people. Excuse me! No! Lauren will be returning to her time in 1 month, an act which frees her from the pretend engagement. Having recently been spurned, Master Leonardo will be given a grace period before proposals begin again. Makes sense. Clever idea. Hold on, please. I haven't even decided if I'm staying here. Much less getting involved in some pretense for his convenience, Leonardo should choose someone who... I choose you. No! We just met! Excuse me? No. I will not be a part of your plot, sir. I refuse. Well, I can't refuse because then we have no story. But here we go! Leonardo quirked a smile, the cigarillo remaining in his lips, unlit. I'll take you as my lover. My compagna provisoria. Sounds like a good time. No. For you, maybe. And don't leave off the provisional part, please. Ugh, there's no fighting him, is there? If I'm going to move this stone giant of a man, I need a colossus of equal stature. That is a brilliant idea, Sebastian. No! No! Traitor. Et tu, Comte? Lauren, Leonardo is not a man of... Well, he's very... Quite honestly, I can't recommend him as a prospective match. But he is an old friend of mine, and the man I trust most in this entire house. Okay, that's a high endorsement, though. In other words, you think I should agree to go along with his plan. On my oath, I would not mislead you. Okay, so here's the alternative. We don't go along with this plan, and then Arthur kidnaps us at some point. So let's just do it. Speak to the other residents. You'll find Leonardo is highly regarded. And if the two of you masquerade as lovers, you wouldn't have to worry about any attempted bitings. Okay, that's my concern because Arthur needs to stay the hell away from me. It's worth it for the increased security alone, in my humble opinion. I'll personally make sure everyone understands you're off limits. They'll listen. I haven't decided. Did you hear that? She hasn't decided, Monsieur le Comte, which means she hasn't said no yet. What? That's not how it works! We've almost got her convinced. What? There's another benefit to pretending to be Leonardo's lover, Lauren. You would have a chance to study under one of the history's greatest geniuses. What if I don't care? We're studying? Exactly what do you recommend I study? Why, anything. Leonardo is a polymath. He is the quintessential Renaissance man. I'm sure he can teach you anything you wish to know, excluding, perhaps, how to be gracious to your longtime host. The burn! Ouch! I love the Comte de Saint Germain. Lauren, this is the chance of a lifetime. You have to accept. Oh goodness, how I wish I could be in your place. They looked at me with anticipatory gazes. I'd seen that excitement before on eager travelers whose dreams I'd helped fulfill. On the other hand, planning an international wine tasting is nothing like agreeing to a fake relationship. Oh yeah, the fake relationship is a hell of a lot more interesting, girl. But the benefits were real. Safety. A chance to learn something new. I couldn't deny I was a little intrigued for my own sake. All right, listen, I've decided. Oh gosh. Now, if we didn't have another chapter available, this would have been a great cliffhanger. But fortunately, we have one, so let's go. We're gonna do it, obviously. Right? Alright, listen. I've decided. We discussed the particulars of my decision over several minutes. Okay, first of all, there will be no public displays of affection besides hand kissing. There will be no face kissing. He needs to keep a distance of 6 feet when we are not in public. Okay. I need this in writing. I exited Le Comte de Saint Germain's room. That's it then. I'm staying here for the month. And as long as I'm staying, I'll be pretending to be romantically paired with the man laughing beside me. Why are you laughing? Didn't think you would agree. And why not? Because you were scrambling out of my arms to run from this place just last night. True. I didn't think there was anything they could say to convince you. I'm a little surprised myself, but even if I don't trust this place or vampires, I trust people. I wouldn't do what I did, try to make people's dreams of adventure come true, if I didn't think they were worth the effort. I'm not convinced this is a good idea. I'm still not sure this place is safe or that all of you are in your right minds. And, tell me, and you're still vampires, and possibly going to attack me or write me into an embarrassing short story while I sleep. Legitimate fears. I mean, these are very, different things on the scale, ma'am. However, I want to trust Le Comte and Sebastian. I understand where they're coming from, at least. And where is that? I could see the sincerity in his eyes, and a real desire to make me feel safe. Aww. Le Comte said he felt responsible for my getting lost in this time. He didn't have to, of course. He just did. And there's more, yes. And when he knew I was scared and wanted to leave, he asked me for a chance to explain. That was very human of him. Though he and Sebastian were a little insistent about me becoming your compagna provisora, as you call it, all they did was talk about the benefits it would bring me. They were pushy, but well-intentioned, I think. Girl, does she have a track record of being good in judging character? Because we just met these people for 2 days. I don't trust nobody I've known for 2 days. I don't care what they say to me. I see. Speaking of well-intentioned, Leonardo was tall. Good looking too, now that I could see him in the daylight. She was like, okay. First of all, he's fine, so this makes life easier. He grabbed my arm, kissed me, picked me up, dropped me on my bed. I get the feeling your actions were well-intentioned too. Last night, in hindsight, or is the fog of attraction blocking her senses? Okay. And yes, I see the surprise on your face. Don't worry, I'm as surprised to hear me say that as you. I thought maybe I could trust you too, at least come to understand where you're coming from. After all, we're going to be together until the sand in that hourglass falls. Let the torment begin! He looked at me without saying anything. I understand. It probably sounds like I'm a pushover or that I'm just being nice. I know I'm risking a lot by not taking Le Comte's offer to have my own place. You're not gonna laugh this time? Why would I? I hear the soft sounds of the Italian countryside in his voice. It swirled past me like the rush of wind in my hair. I love the word. I just love the writing in this. Okay. I could never laugh at someone who's opening their heart to me. Y'all really gonna make me like this man in chapter 3. We still have at least 10 chapters to go. What is it? Each story's 14, 15 chapters? Okay. I could never laugh at someone who's opening their heart to me. Oh, I guess so. I'll keep in mind what you said. Now that it's official, welcome, cara mia. I appreciate the sentiment. Thank you. I feel welcome. He'd seemed a perfect storm of willfulness and a devil-may-care attitude, but he wasn't irrational. I saw it in his eyes. I never know what you're going to do or say next, Leonardo da Vinci. He seemed to be a catalyst, brought changes with him wherever he appeared. I'm telling you, the writing in this game is great, okay? I felt it in his presence. Strong winds that whisked me up and away like, yes, you're like a storm. Never go out in a bad storm, they say. Yet here I was, opening my door to peek inside. Let the tormented love begin! Okay. Tell me. Tell you what? Leonardo stuffed his gloved hands in his pockets, his posture relaxed. He had that heavenly scent again. I thought I had traced it to its immediate source, but tobacco, old books, warm leather, fresh paints, the countryside, petrichor. My nose detected a new layer with each breath. Been wondering this since we met. You make a hobby out of staring at people? We'll get you in trouble. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just captivated by... Okay. I didn't think I was staring. Staring's not the problem. It's your eyes. So clear, so questioning, so passionate. Sir, 6 feet! Like an empty canvas. Makes me want to drape you in all my colors, as a good compano would. First of all, sir! 6 feet! We just met. His voice was low, a little intoxicating, and hearing it made my ears burn a little. Excuse me, Da Vinci, someone's taking the role of a lover a little too seriously. I'm afraid my pretend compagno is not going to be draping me in any colors. Thank you very much. It's just a metaphor, like the wolf thing. Fill your canvas with information. Didn't Lecomte say as much? That I could teach you anything you wish to know? Metaphor. Right. Yeah. If you're interested in my skills as a compano, I could always teach you a few things about... No. She was like, I knew where you were going with this, and I would like to firmly reject. Okay, you answered awfully quickly. I'm going to need to take out an emotional insurance policy on Storm Leonardo. Leonardo lit his cigarillo and, with a puff, started walking again. He stopped only after a few steps, seemingly remembering something. Actually, I need to set something down first, just to keep things safe. What? Okay, is it gonna be one of those rules of don't fall in love with me for real? Wait, we finished? This is the end of chapter 3? Really? That was so fast! Ah, oh, man! My tickets are gone! Okay, so we have a side story. Shakespeare, I'm not on your route. Side stories are told from the guy's perspective. Find out what he's thinking and how he truly feels as he goes with the story. Nice! To unlock side stories, you'll need an item called the key to his heart. You can also use diamonds if you prefer. Okay. You can check where his side story will be available for each character by checking the story list section. How the hell do I... Oh, okay, I'm about to say, how do I have a key? I was like, where do I get the key from? Nice. Alright. So, we got a key, so let's read the side story. Okay. So I wonder if we got like 3 keys for the main side story stuff, and then like extra stories they add later. We'll probably have to figure out how to purchase keys or something. Anyway, Leonardo, his side story. There was a girl. Her name was Lauren. Yesterday evening, she wandered into this mansion and could not get back out. Last night, she decided to escape. This morning, she decided to stay. The reason being that after talking to Lecomte, I agreed to protect her, masquerading as her compagno, her lover. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I really didn't think she'd agree to that. People rarely surprise me anymore. She's a curious one, this card. Curious and interesting. She cares, but not about propriety or appearances. I laughed. Why are you laughing? She's also adorable. Okay, sorry. I mean, how could I not be? Okay. Lauren was frowning at me, but it only made her cuter. Didn't think you would agree. And why not? Lauren looked puzzled. I thought back to last night when we were in the library. This mansion is full of hungry vampires. Yes, I was trying to run. I'm trying to get somewhere safe. Ah, that's what you're running from. I was worried that might be it. In any case, I'm not staying here any longer. Goodbye to all of you. You shouldn't go out there alone. Don't try and stop me, vampire. I should just say, mind your business. Because you were scrambling out of my arms to run from this place just last night. I didn't think there was anything they could say to convince you. I'd already heard my overprotective old friend offer her a house in the city with all her needs taken care of. Despite that, she chose to stay. I'm not sure why she made this choice. This house was a den of vampires. She called it right the first night. Even if these pups weren't that dangerous, mostly there were plenty of vampires who only saw humans as food. I'm not convinced this is a good idea. I'm not still sure this place is safe or that all of you are in your right minds. And tell me. And you're still vampires and possibly going to attack me or write me into an embarrassing short story while I sleep. Legitimate fears. When she puts it that way, being idiosyncratic is nearly as bad as being bloodthirsty. Which is why I'm like, girl, two different... Okay. However, I want to trust Le Comte and Sebastian. I understand where they're coming from at least. And where is that? She trusts them, though they're strangers? That's what I said. Lacombe said he felt responsible for my getting lost in this time. He didn't have to, of course. He just did. And there's more, yes. And when he knew I was scared and wanted to leave, he asked me for a chance to explain. That was very human of him. Though he and Sebastian were a little insistent about me becoming your compana provisoria, okay, I didn't read that right, as you call it. All they did was talk about the benefits it would bring me. They were pushy, but well-intentioned, I think. I see. She's not naive about her situation. She evaluated everything we said, then chose the best option for everyone. And she places value on people's civility. Trust is easy to speak of, hard to deserve, right? You can even mislead yourself into trusting the wrong things, or people, like a house full of vampires, for example. When your heart is broken, it will be broken. It's all the harder to trust again. Curiously, losing that trust doesn't hurt less. I see it in her eyes. She knows the risks of trusting people. She believes, in spite of that. My compagna provisoria is actually rather fascinating. Speaking of well-intentioned, Lauren gave me that evaluating look. I've always been drawn to eyes, trying to capture the way they interact with light. Hers were charmingly bright. Aww. I get the feeling your actions were well-intended too. Last night, in hindsight, did she figure me out that quickly? What? I guess she is a good person who can, a good judge of character. I thought maybe I could trust you too, at least come to understand where you're coming from. After all, we're going to be together until the sand in that hourglass falls. She's very fascinating. I liked things that piqued my curiosity. Always did have a soft spot for them. This curious woman, suddenly I wanted to know more about her. Surprise me, little storm. Responding to my unspoken request, she went from frowning to mystified. Oh no, he calls her a storm too! God! The torment! Okay, I'm predicting the amount of tortured love that's going to happen here. Okay. Responding to my unspoken request, she went from frowning to mystified. You're not going to laugh this time? Why would I? I could never laugh at someone who's opening their heart to me. Oh, I guess so. I'll keep in mind what you said. Now that it's official, welcome, cara mia. Thank you. I feel welcome. Her eyes didn't leave mine. It was her eyes I first saw when I awoke in that hallway. I felt like I had seen them before, not in my memories, in my heart. I'm helpless before those eyes. Oh, God! Tell me. Tell you what? She blinked, but even then, the spell she cast on me wasn't broken. I let it take me. Been wondering this since we met. You make a hobby out of staring at people, it'll get you in trouble. I didn't think I was staring. People should be happy to have your eyes on them. It's a problem for me, though. Staring's not the problem. It's your eyes, so clear, so questioning, so passionate. Like an empty canvas. Makes me want to drape you in all my colors, as a good compano would. I don't want to leave your sight for a second. I don't know why, though. And that thought seemed strangely familiar. Read it in an old book, but my mind was too consumed with Lauren to go searching my memories for it. I'm afraid my pretend compano is not going to be draping me in any colors. I'm not so sure about that. Oh God! I've already made your cheeks red. I think I'm going to enjoy this. Would she have blushed more if I said that aloud? I'd have to find out next time. Lauren shot me a challenging look, and that too stirred something in me. Something very much like passion. Or thirst! Lots and lots of thirst! 1 month, 30 days together. No idea what would happen. And I liked it that way. Typically, the longer something lasted, the more predictable it came, until finally you wished it was over. This encounter had a set end. All the more reason to enjoy it. A month with my compagna. An excerpt from the recently discovered Codex de Saint Germain on beginnings with fixed goodbyes. You've completed the following side story on beginnings with fixed goodbyes. Or so they think. Something tells me she ain't going back. Or he'll go back with her. Alright, so since I have to wait for my tickets to come back, let's do some battles. We need to make sure I need to make sure I'm continuously doing battles so that when intimacy checks happen, I'm not stuck at a certain point. So, to the battles! Let's go! They keep putting me against people who only have one card. That doesn't seem very fair. I mean, a win is a win. Get him! Yes. A crushing defeat. Secret date time. Go. I should have, it said edit. I wonder if you can choose the card. Now let's be bad. So dramatic with the ellipses there. Okay. Yay! Alright, so we have an intimacy level of 1,425. I don't know what the specific numbers for intimacy checks are, but I'm going to make sure that I continue battling off stream as well, so that when we hit an intimacy check, we won't hit a wall. So, alrighty, so that was it for chapter 3. I will be back in a little bit once the tickets regenerate, and then we can start chapter 4. Alrighty, my tickets are back, and let's start chapter 4. It's like when I'm with him, I've got no choice but just to enjoy the ride. Led by the scent of tobacco and Leonardo's unforgettable smile, my new life in the mansion begins. Leonardo, chapter 4. Leonardo lit his cigarillo and with a puff, started walking again. He stopped only after a few steps, seemingly remembering something. Actually, I need to set something down first, just to keep things safe. Why are we getting choices this, fast in the chapter? What is it? Safe was why I agreed. Now I'm nervous. What is it? What is it? Very well. What is it? I'm only going to say it once, so listen close, Caramia. Okay. He grinned like a cat. You can ask me anything you want, but you only get one question a day. More than that is too much trouble for me. Oh, I thought it was going to be something like, you better not fall in love with me, or something cheap. One question a day? That's adding conditions after we've already agreed on the terms. Yeah, you're right. As a compagni, I guess we need to work on our communication. His maddening smile hung on the air, a mirage in the smoke he left behind. Oh, the writing! Okay. I spun around, indignant, and walked off in the opposite direction towards my room. She was like, I ain't playing with you today. Once inside, I shut the door inside. Okay, her room is absolutely gorgeous. This canopy bed, flaw-free. The chandelier, amazing. I would never want to leave. It's like when I'm with him, I've got no choice but just to enjoy the ride. Because he always had the driver's seat. Storm warning, Leonardo da Vinci is a Category 5 hurricane of trouble. He has already claimed one casualty, a Tokyo native named Lauren. And here I thought the eye of the storm was supposed to be calm. I just hoped there'd be something left of me to send through the door in a month. My feet carried me to my bed. Even unmade, its softness was inviting. Leonardo da Vinci, my temporary boyfriend. My thoughts drifted. I was tired. Come to think of it, I hadn't gotten a full night's sleep since arriving here, and it was probably night back in my time. I'll just take a little nap. I shut my eyes to get some rest. Okay, the dangerous thing is saying you'll take a little nap and not having some type of timer on. Because you'll say at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'll take a little nap, and then when you wake up, it's 9 o'clock at night, and you're like, what happened? Watch, that's what's about to happen to her. That night, while Lauren was sleeping in a deep, dreamless sleep, some shit popped off. Leonardo smoked. That old vice was his only true companion on a night like this. Ash fell, glowing with but a moment's light before turning pale and gray. Gone. A puff of smoke left his lips and drifted off into the night sky, but it had no home among the clouds. Enjoying your smoke, I see. Care to join me for one, my noble lord? I can just hear the sarcasm. I shouldn't. It took far too long to break the habit, and it's only recently that I stopped having cravings. Heh, that's right, I forget. Now the Comte de Saint Germain is a perfect gentleman. Whatever are you insinuating, Leo? Besides, the man I was back then and the man I am now are both me. He is wise as hell. Okay, sorry. In fact, you could say I may finally be growing into my old birthright. Everything grows and changes with time, even the most stubborn of us. I could argue that. Leonardo leaned back, his golden eyes looking at anything but his old friend. But Lecomte smiled, knowing he was paying careful attention to every word. Thank you, Leonardo. What is happening here? What am I missing? Okay, keep going. You thanking me. Is the world going to end tomorrow? Rest assured, if it was a matter of the world ending, I wouldn't stop to thank you. Damn! Okay, sorry. I just want to have an air horn and just okay. You know my gratitude stems from you agreeing to protect Lauren so quickly. I didn't say yes because I'm some saint. She intrigues me. That's why. I expect you to say as much. Just remember, Lauren is a precious guest from another time. A temporary one. So don't go fucking with her emotions. That's what he was trying to tell him, okay? Do not put yourself in a position where you'll regret saying goodbye. That's basically what I just said, but nicer. Leonardo's cigarillo had burned low. I know. You pushed her toward me because I'm the last person to feel that way. So don't worry about it. I'm an old hand at saying goodbye without regret. Yes, I suppose you are. Lecomte's expression was unreadable, his words melting into the empty night. He's like, nah, you like her, I can tell. The sun on that first morning was bright and beautiful. A perfect day to start work. Or so I imagine. I didn't see it. What hired help has the gall to sleep away the morning of their first day? I'm sorry. Me, I suppose? I'm really sorry, Sebastian. It was just supposed to be a nap. What did I tell you? Okay, sorry. Even I can't believe my nap lasted all yesterday evening and into the next day. On the grounds that you were clearly too tired to work, I forgive you. Thanks. Starting today, your work begins in earnest. I'm well rested for it. I spoke with enthusiasm. My stomach spoke too. Also with enthusiasm. Stomach, please stop embarrassing me when I'm trying to repair my reputation. Well rested, but not well fed. Here. Sebastian handed me a mouth-watering chicken pan bagnat on toasted bread from an expertly plated tray of sandwiches. Oh, that sounds good. Wow, this looks like a part of everyone's brunch. Are you sure I can have this? They won't know it's missing. You'll need to because we cannot serve any food with your stomach growling. Thank you. My stomach thanks you too. I'm gonna be real honest with y'all. In that moment, I thought that was my stomach growling. I was like, is that gonna be on the microphone? Okay. I took a bite. The flavor melted over my tongue and soothed my savage beast. French bread in France, crisp outer shell and toasted to perfection. Delicious. Lest I forget, the honey mustard sauce, rich and creamy, is a wonderful compliment. Girl, don't make me hungry. Now, before you begin work, the most important thing to understand is the curious physiological traits of vampires. Go ahead. I've been wondering about that. You may have noticed that they look indistinguishable from us. Appearance aside, they are quite different. I have so many questions about that. Why do they burn in sunlight? I'm curious about holy objects. Is it just crosses? And I guess you never cook with garlic. Sebastian raised one pristine white glove. And he flicked me in the forehead. Watch it be some, you must abandon your stereotypical knowledge of vampires type shit. I nearly jumped from my chair. I can't believe you flicked me. This isn't the Middle Ages. Such blatant superstitions are outdated and incorrect. What'd I tell you? The only things that distinguish the esteemed residents of this mansion from humans are the following. They take their nourishment in a different manner from us. They live longer, and their bodies are more resilient. I see. Given how far outside the bounds of realism I'd already stepped, I was primed to believe the superstitions, but this is fine. My mental resilience had already been tested pretty much to its limits. I was fine not breaking my mind any further. Right? We will begin meal service once this lecture is over. Now, you recall seeing this before? The Rouge. Sebastian presented the beautiful wine decanter, the liquid inside an opaque red. I feel my stomach churning. It's hard to forget a decanter full of blood. Everyone here calls it Rouge, and it's how the vampires stay alive, correct? Correct. But Rouge is not the only thing they drink. Take a look at this. He placed a similar bottle beside the Rouge containing a thin, milky white liquid. The fuck is this? What's in that one? It's Blanc, and it is a blood substitute cultivated from a certain white flower. A substitute? So they don't always have to drink blood. How did it come about? I'm not certain of the history, but Blanc was developed out of necessity, I imagine, by vampire society to use in lieu of Rouge. Legally required Rouge is not available in great quantities given its source. And there are some vampires who do not wish to drink Rouge for moral reasons. Fair. I sympathize. As most humans would, I suspect. I finished my sandwich just as the lecture came to an end. It is time for breakfast. I shall have to finish explaining on the way to the dining room. These chapters go so fast. Okay. Sebastian and I pushed 2 carts laden with food and drink down the hallway. He's prepared a lavish meal. In addition to the sandwiches, which I'd already partaken of, there were pancakes, bowls of fruit, sausages, rolls, a variety of traditional breakfast foods from a variety of cultures. All of it looked wonderful. My mouth is watering at the thought of pancakes. I was impressed the night of the banquet, but it seems they eat well every meal. But why do vampires need so much food if it's blood that keeps them alive? Sebastian answered my unspoken question, anticipating me. You're wondering why we serve them food if they subsist on Rouge and Blanc. That's exactly what I was wondering. Old habits die hard, as they say, and to the residents, human food remains a pleasurable indulgence. They eat it because they like it? Yes, though it provides them no nutrition, does not stop them from feeling hungry, and will not keep them alive. Well, that just seems like a waste of resources. However, vampires have a normal sense of taste and thus eat for pleasure. That makes sense. Does it? It doesn't make sense to you? Vampires eating food simply for pleasure. I assume that would disturb some people, while others might find it wasteful. I'm others. It's wasteful. They're vampires now, but they were human once. It's emotional. They had their comfort foods, just like you and me. To give that up just because you died would make a long life that much more unpleasant, wouldn't it? Fair. I love a good meal, and I appreciate the effort that goes into it. I'd hate to lose that. Your sympathy is showing. Perhaps the day you come to like vampires isn't so far off? Let's not push it. It's too soon to tell that, Sebastian. After all, it's only my first day. We've arrived. Lauren, we now stand before the doors to the dining room. Shadowing is an excellent way to learn, so I expect you to follow my every move. Are you ready? Let's begin. I nodded. Sebastian pushed open the doors. Inside the dining room sat Napoleon Bonaparte, Vincent and Theodorus Van Gogh, and Arthur Conan Doyle the Creeper. Sebas, I've got to go in 15 minutes. 1 stack of pancakes for me. Here you are, Master Theodorus, slathered in syrup as you like them. Theodorus knows what's up. That's why you're the best. I followed Sebastian as he went around the table, filling glasses with fresh juice and tea. I'm impressed. There's precision in everything he does. I felt a surreptitious tug on my apron and looked to see Napoleon. Yes, Monsieur Bonaparte? I heard you decided to stay. Yes, only for 1 month though. I'll be assisting Sebastian during that time. Very well. Then let me ask you something. Would you like your blood to be fried, roasted, baked? Okay. A request. What is it? Don't call me Monsieur Bonaparte. I don't care for such unnecessary formality. If you understand, say it. Say your name? All right. Napoleon? Good enough. He released me with an amused smile. Sir, I'm not on your route. Okay. Lauren, I turned. From the other end of the table, Vincent gave me a warm, friendly look. I just wanted to say you can call me Vincent. My brother goes by Theo. I go by whatever I feel like answering to. Which just happens to be Theo. Try to remember that. Nobeljet? That word. Well, I don't answer to morsel. So, unless you're confusing me with the food, Theo. You're a human among vampires. I'm not confusing you with anything, morsel. Theo, don't be rude. I'm sorry, Lauren. My little brother likes to kid around. He don't sound like he was kidding to me. He doesn't really think you're food, and he wouldn't eat you. We all heard from Le Comte about you and Leonardo. Oh, what did you hear? We heard that you was Leonardo's girl, and so we'll back off. Le Comte said Leonardo's finally taking a liking to someone. Thank God. I want no fangs around her from any of you. The Comte was like, thank God we done found him somebody. Everybody back up. Do not sabotage nothing. Okay. Le Comte did say he'd tell everyone. Speak to the other residents. You'll find Leonardo is highly regarded. And if the two of you masquerade as lovers, you won't have to worry about any attempted bitings. It's worth it for the increased security alone, in my humble opinion. I'll personally make sure everyone understands you're off limits. They'll listen. I do have to question his wording. Still, if these vampires have become all bark and no bite, then I'm satisfied. Me too. Leonardo being unpredictable is nothing new, but something's fishy here. Mind your business, Theodorus. Didn't you say you had to leave quickly? Falling in love with a girl you just met? One who's made it clear she's going home soon? Theo gave me a cold, appraising look. I don't think he's buying it. I wasn't sure I could convince him either. Luckily, I didn't have to. Why, Theo, don't tell me you lack all imagination. She comes from the 21st century. He finds her fascinating. I'll wager that's in good measure why Leonardo decided to romance her. Oh, good, finally. Somebody. Are you downplaying her charms in a bid to win her for yourself? Oh! If that's what you're seeing, no wonder you couldn't make it as an ophthalmologist. Oh my God, the shade in his game. Okay. Arthur only grinned in reply. It was the kind of smile you'd give a guy friend. A little rivalry, a lot of affection. He stood up, whispering as he passed me. I hope that clears my slate for scaring you in the kitchen last night. Oh, how thoughtful. I looked at him in surprise. But if it turns out you really don't love Leonardo, just know I'm always available. Pass. Arthur left, his steps light. He said that to allay Theo's suspicions for me, and maybe to flirt a little too. Lauren, you are still watching me, aren't you? I mean, people are having conversations. Give me a second. Yes, I am. No, I ain't. After breakfast, I joined Sebastian in the kitchen where we washed the dishes. You cook and you clean. You've taken care of this large mansion all by yourself. You're amazing, Sebastian. It came out during breakfast that the banquet the night I arrived was unusual. Most of the residents ate at different times, had their own schedules, all of which Sebastian had memorized. I just happen to enjoy the work I do. But it's a lot of work, and I'm honestly grateful to have a hand with it. I bet you are. The work should go easier now with the two of us doing it. You sound ready for your first solo task. Sebastian dried his hands and set a bottle of Rouge and Blanc upon a tray. You are to deliver these to Master Leonardo's room. He hasn't eaten today. Why didn't he come down for breakfast? Normally he would have. I expect he's exhausted after getting his sleep schedule so turned around. He hasn't been sleeping well? Not since the night you arrived. Don't blame me! Soon after, I stood, tray in hand, before Leonardo's room. Leonardo actually waited up all night in front of my door so I would be safe. Aw, that's right, he did. Okay, so it is my fault. Go ahead, blame me. I came to see you early that first morning. That's when I found Master Leonardo sitting in front of your door. When I asked him what he was doing there, he just yawned and stumbled sleepily back to his room. I didn't ask him to do that. These doors lock from the inside. Turn the key once I'm gone and you'll be safe. Sure enough. You need me to wait up all night in front of your door to keep anyone out? Thank you, but no thanks, Mr. Wolf. Very well. Ciao, cara mia. Oh, so he did it anyway. I was sure it was a joke. I have no idea why he would go and do that after I told him he didn't have to. Because he loves us. Okay. Unsure of what to say to him, I knocked on his door. He responded by inviting me in. Thank you. Balancing the tray, I nudged the door open. Inside awaited a sight beyond imagination. Is he naked? I had no idea. This better not be a cliffhanger. This better not be a cliffhanger. This better not. I'm going to be really upset. Oh, okay. What's an avatar challenge? Hi, Jean. Okay, this appears to be your first avatar challenge. Here's how it works. Pay attention or this will all be for naught. I hope you understand, mademoiselle. Oh God, too many directions already. Okay. While reading the story, you will come across avatar challenges. You will need to choose between two different kinds of attire in order to pass. Normal and premium. Finishing both missions will award you with a special story, but you will only be able to keep the story that comes with the premium selection, okay? So I have to buy with diamonds for beauty points? Oh, God. All right. Oh, I got 300 diamonds for free? What? Okay, hold on. You can find out when an avatar challenge will occur in the story by tapping home. You got some diamonds as a reward for finishing the tutorial. Use them to get the premium avatar for the challenge. Okay. I'm confused as to what I need to do. Oh no, I can only choose between... Oh, I see. Okay. I see. Try that on. Buy. Buy with diamonds. Oh, that's cute. He takes your bag. Okay. And then try this on. Okay, buy. Buy with gold. No. Oh, wait, I don't have enough gold? Oh, you whores! I have to battle for gold? Ma'am, okay. But even if we battle, I don't think I'm gonna have enough. Okay, hold on. This game. Let's see. Probably not gonna have enough. Oh, she got a nice tiara on here. Oh, God, we may lose. Okay, we might win because we have more than one card. But she's got better, like... Oh, God. I think she had higher beauty points. Oh, we won! Woo! We still don't have enough gold. I knew it. Alright, whatever. So that was our battle for the day. Okay. God, the dialogue. Okay. So we have to go back to the avatar thingy because I messed it up. Alright. Check details. So I'm still confused on how this works. Alright, done. Okay, hopefully. If you wear the premium attire, the story will be saved. Okay, just try it. Jeez, we don't have no... Oh, we passed! Yay! I wasn't sure. Do I get the dress that's in the picture? Give me the dress. Premium story time. But do I get the dress? I was sure it was a joke. I had no idea why Leonardo would go and do that after I told him he didn't have to. Unsure of what to say to him, I knocked on his door. He responded by inviting me in. Thank you. Balancing the tray, I nudged the door open. Inside awaited a sight beyond imagination. Is he naked? I had no idea. It was a disaster area. Staircases of empty bottles, ill. Canvases sitting on the sofa. Books using other books as bookmarks. How dare he defile the books? Leonardo had invited me in, but I could barely get past the door. Huh? Oh, it's you. Sir, what is this? The closet? It's obviously my room. Eyes so wide and you still can't see that? You're right. The closet would have cleaning implements, which this place needs. You are going to clean, right? No, it's always this way. Always? Always? It's not that messy in here. I know where everything is, at least. Okay, look. I can't blame him for that because that's how I am too. Sometimes I'm like, look, as long as I know where stuff is, I'm just gonna leave it there. Indeed, it would take the great mind of Leonardo da Vinci to even walk through this Escher painting of a room. It's not my job, but breaking my neck by tripping over bottles or getting buried alive by rubbish demands action. Can I clean up? No, never mind. I'm not asking. I have to clean up. You want to? I concede to your bravery, Cara Mia. Go ahead. I may need a hazard mask and some gloves before I attempt this. It wasn't that I cared about him or his room. I needed a place to put down his lunch. For now, I set the tray outside the door. Where do I start with this? Let's see about making a path to the shelf and back. I started with the monstrous-looking pile of books, dislodging them and organizing them by size. Astronomy, architecture, military strategy, philosophy, anatomy. This one is about bicycles, all in several different languages. Even if you could read all this, and it would take a lifetime, how could one mind possibly fit all that information? I could never understand what kind of thinking led to this. But at least I know why I can't. His mind is too full of stargazing, tower-building, Greek sculpture, siege engine bicycles. That is so much. The master of this mayhem was standing in one of the spots I clear, watching me with amusement. Do you want to maybe help? Ah! A book fell on my head. Of course it did. Ow! It was an encyclopedia of birds, of course. Now the books are taking their revenge on me. Huh? Wait, what's that? A 2-meter square frame poked out from behind his bed. I pulled it out and was blown away by what I saw. This is a map? Yeah, that's the Fra Mauro map, an old map of the world, made in Italy, right around the time I was born. I bugged Comte about it and he got me this copy, really close to the original. Not sure how he pulled that off. It's beautiful. It's upside down, but look at it. Norway, Sweden, Finland. There's the Libyan coastline. It even has Japan. It's not too accurate, thus the Garden of Eden, but it's an artistic view of the world. I think so too. I'm a big fan of maps and geography. Old places, languages. I was, a travel agent. I arranged trips for people, and wherever I couldn't visit myself, I liked to read up on. Oh my goodness, Babylon, why don't I? What, actually try to make a conversation? Talk my head off, you mean? Oh, I knew he was gonna say that. He brushed a gloved hand over my cheek, and I felt a spark of something. Something tender, but bittersweet. Then Leonardo teased my cheeks up. Pardon, but don't do that. Scusa, I wanted to see if I could make you smile more. His eyes were twinkling, and he looked at me as if he found the sight of me pleasing. I definitely smile more when I'm not poked and prodded like a lump of clay. Yeah, makes sense. Aww. Noted. His comment left me feeling strangely bashful. With a chuckle, he let me go. You frowning again? You're like the weather at the top of a mountain. What is that supposed to mean? At the top, the weather changes often and it changes quickly. Just like you. You're the weather pattern. I'm just You're the weather pattern. I'm just the innocent bystander caught up in you. Oh. And talk about changing expressions like the weather. Now he was staring at me. What is it? I am not a science project. That sounds like a downgrade. The disrespect! Of course not. The romance is a charade, and I would never fall in love with you. Never. That makes me sad to hear, Karamiya. That was not a forlorn expression. What does he find so amusing? I didn't know, but if I stayed here any longer, I was going to throw something at him. And there was plenty to throw. Start with the heaviest book, girl. You leaving? Oh, I plan to keep coming back until the day this room is habitable. But that's not today. I know when I'm beat. When I reached the door, I was reminded of what Sebastian had told me. I came to see you early that first morning. That's when I found Master Leonardo sitting in front of your door. When I asked him what he was doing there, he just yawned and stumbled sleepily back to his room. I never thanked him for guarding my door, if that was really what he was doing. Leonardo? What is it? I'd like to ask my one question for the day. Is it true you waited up all night guarding my door that first night? Who told you that? Sebastian did. He said he found you sitting in front of my door the next morning. I might have been there. What kind of answer is that? That's not an answer. I felt suddenly tired as I left your room. I think I fell asleep where I stood. Next thing I knew, the sun was up. Liar. That actually sounds feasible given what I've seen of you so far. Sorry to disappoint you. Leonardo grinned and embarrassment flared up inside of me. Oh, he is playing these games. I'm only disappointed in myself for envisioning you as something you're not. It's fine. I'll be going now. Ciao, Karamiya. As soon as the door had shut, Leonardo ran a gloved hand through his hair. Why did Sebas have to say something? There was nothing worse than to admit I was really worried about her. Really? Is that bad? Of course, Lauren didn't hear him through the door. Words. Chiaroscuro, an art technique that uses bold contrast to enhance the illusion of life in an illustration. Neither Leonardo nor Lauren knew at the time how much their differences would bring life to each other. Aww. Alrighty, so we're going to read the letter actually next time. This concludes episode 3 of Ikemen Vampire. I'm still really enjoying this story. I cannot wait to see how their relationship evolves. They're so cute. I like how he teases her and she's like, I'm not taking any of your shit. And she like teases back a little bit. So I'm looking forward to this love story unfolding. We've got a while. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. I did not know it was 25 chapters. So we have a while. Okay. I thought it was like 16. That is excellent. Yay for more romance because I'm really liking Leonardo. Okay. So that is all for me. Thank you so much for watching this video and I will see you next time. Bye.